What's the most you've won in a single bet?
4.6 million.
4.6 million.
Yes. It was on the Kansas City Chiefs 2023 Super Bowl. Basically 8 months before I got raided by the feds.
Just most you've lost in one bet.
On a particular wager, I lost 2.5 once. I lost $1 million many times.
Matt Boyer was a gambling whale and an illegal bookie. Shohei Ohtani is among the best to ever play the game, and this had the makings of baseball's biggest scandal.
Well, the first time I saw The Wire with Shohei Ohtani, it was a holy moment for me, good and bad, right? The greedy side of me was, oh, this is amazing. I'm going to not have to worry about getting paid. This is a great client. I mean, unlimited funds. The negative side is this could draw eyes onto me.
The account at Matt Boyer's illegal sportsbook was in the name of Ippei Mizuhara, Ohtani's longtime interpreter.
He is an interpreter, and you've got to guess he's not earning multiple millions a
No,
year,
of
right?
course, yeah. What made me think was they're partners in an account, which is common, by the way, or it was Shohei. And I clearly was starting to think it was Shohei. But if you look at my messages, I never even asked. Stealing never really crossed my mind.
It would be natural to think it was Shohei.
Well,
right?
I mean, truthfully, I did, but I wasn't sure. And you know, sometimes in life you have a question that you really don't want to know the answer. That's where I was.
It was not Shohei. Turns out the interpreter had stolen nearly $17 million from one of Ohtani's accounts to pay off his own massive gambling debts to Boyer. He's now serving 57 months in prison. Boyer just sentenced to a year in prison. He pleaded guilty to running an illegal betting operation, money laundering, and tax evasion.
You do a crime, you got to do the time. So at the end of the day, I was doing something illegal.
And it all began with a raid at his lush Orange County, California home.
I was putting my son in my wife's G-Wagon, and as I literally put him in, he was 2 years old, I heard FBI freeze, and I literally turned this way, and there was 8 red dots on me, and they were in full tactical gear. Being raided by federal agents, you're always going to be surprised. I don't care who you are, what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a surprise, and it's not a surprise you want.
This was not the first raid on his home.
You were raided in 2014.
I was.
You didn't really learn that lesson. Well, sorry, you learned a different lesson than I might have
I learned the wrong one. Yeah, I got greedy. I mean, I was 39 years old, 4 kids. FBI comes, they raid my home. They take all the cash, just under $1 million. I sign abandonment forms, which state that I will not be charged with a crime. And basically, I looked at it as a get out of jail free card.
That cost you $1 million.
Yeah, and that's additional tax is the way I looked at it. But the reality is that was a time to wake up, grow up, and go get a real job and be like everybody else. And I chose to be an arrogant, greedy guy and continued my business and actually grew it bigger than it ever was. So for me, I was doing so well, in my business that betting $1 million may have been much less than it seemed to be. And also I was doing it so often. So $1 million loss here and then $1 million win the next day, they offset, right? And I become really immune to the amounts. My mentality was if I came in with $2 million, I'm walking out with 4 or 0. And
We're
that's
very different people.
Well, for the record, I think everyone who sits next to me would say that.
Yeah.
I don't claim to be normal. I don't want to be normal.
You said to me at one point, degenerate gambler, and then you said addict.
Sure. They're really the same, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I would say probably 70-80% of the people that are labeled a degenerate gambler are addicts. They just don't admit it or own it.
Yeah.
I own it because I did it every day of my life for the last 35 years.
But so how are you doing not doing it every day?
Well, I go to prison if I do it. So that's why. I'm forced to quit.
So are you not allowed to gamble now?
I can't gamble anywhere. I'm monitored by the federal government.
And how long is that going to, are you ever going to be able to gamble again?
Yeah, I paid restitution. I don't know when that we lift it. I imagine when I'm off probation. So, yeah, I'll be able to gamble again.
You looking forward to that?
Yeah, in some ways. Let me tell you why. My wife isn't.
Is it the win? Is it the anticipation? What is it?
I think it's the dopamine rush of the feeling you get when you put large amount of money on an outcome of something. in that 3-hour football game, or let's call it even 35 seconds of turning cards, you can change your financial dynamic drastically, that easy and that quick. Do I miss it? Do I want to gamble? Sure. I love gambling, and I will probably till I'm dead.
I mean, you know, you were treated like a king.
Panama, Dominican Republic, Monte Carlo, obviously everywhere in Las Vegas.
They would send their jet to pick you up to bring you.
Almost all of them. Like Monte Carlo, we'd fly first class. They'd pay for our seats, $30,000 tickets. But
You're going from flying first class to Monte Carlo to taking a drug test and peeing in a cup in a courthouse in Santa Ana.
yes, it's a a wild turn. There's no question. It's definitely been humbling,
I think we could say that you've lived on the edge.
for
right?
sure. You think?
That's fair,
Yes,
right?
I'd say.
He's written a book about it all and how he hopes to soon pivot back into legitimate business, maybe a movie, motivational speaking, but it's hard to get past the tales of millions on the line.
That particular story in the book is, you know, there was a lot riding on you winning that money, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was
different.
you were
because
trying to dig yourself out of a hole there.
I was. You're right.
And you had the money on, the Angels were losing,
Yeah, against Tampa Bay.
and you still go and play softball and like, hey, I didn't want it to ruin my night.
Yeah. I think also I have this ability to kind of like compartmentalize the gambling at times.
Clearly.
Right? So I was able to do that.
If I had millions of dollars on the line and my bet looked like it was losing, I would not be playing softball with my friends. How do you do that?
I think over time I just became numb to the ups and downs, as if you're brushing your teeth. I mean, I would lose, $2-3 million in maybe a few hours sometimes, but I wouldn't blame anybody but myself because I chose to do it.
And you know you're going to live to fight another day.
I always assumed I would, right? Until the feds came.
You think you're better at golf when there's a lot of money riding on it?
Clearly. I'm not a great golfer.
If I have $5 on a hole,
Right.
I'm going to shank it.
That's actually what I was hoping for when I gamble with people in golf.
You want people like me.
Yes. And to be honest, even the people that don't get nervous, I try to raise the stakes high enough to where it makes them feel that way. I think I'm seasoned to handle risk better than 99.9% of the human population. Over time, even when I was a commodity trader, I would risk more than all the other brokers in my company. But of course, there's a downside to that. I'm sitting here today on a couch with you facing a federal prison sentence.
You have a beautiful lifestyle that is in part being funded off people who then have nothing.
Well, my job as a bookmaker is actually controlling the customer to afford what they're gambling and don't get over their head and actually control that. Long term, that's better for me as a bookmaker
Right.
because I can extract as a number $500 a week from a particular person. Over time, that's $2,000 a month. They lose $24,000 in a year, but yet they can pay all their bills. Or I can give a guy $20,000 in credit. He blows the whole 20 grand in a week, can't pay it, and now I lost the customer, ruined his life. That nobody wins there. And I'm trying to moderate you from becoming out of control or over your head.
Because you want to keep me as a customer.
Of course. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still want to make money off of you. This is definitely where the action took place.
Boyer says he's also made a lot of money legally over the years in property, sales, commodities.
You see being a bookie as being a more sort of honorable profession than being a commodities trader?
By far, actually.
Why?
Morally, I felt 100 times better being an illegal bookmaker than I did as a commodities trader, because 95% of the people that invested in commodities would lose their money. And it wasn't like we were saying that, disclosing that statement. When I was a bookmaker, you decide what you bet on. You decide how much money you risk. You decide if you want to shut it down, close your account. I don't need to sell you on anything.
Were you ever showing up at someone's door and hanging them off a balcony? I mean, you're a big guy. I'd be scared if you showed up at my door and I owed you money.
When I was younger, I was way more aggressive. Absolutely. Just making someone feel a little uncomfortable and put some pressure on them. I'm guilty of that.
Your son's 5?
4, yeah.
Do you want him to be a bookie, be a gambler?
No, definitely not. I want him to stay as far away from it as possible. Some of the things I've done, I'm proud of, and some things I'm not, right? I was a CEO of a big operation. That's the bottom line. It was just illegal.
to sort of learn from your crime, you have to show some remorse, but in a sense, you don't have remorse because you think that what you did was actually providing a service and was kind of moral.
I do have remorse. I have remorse for Ipe being in prison because, I mean, he's 57 months in prison, and I have remorse for anyone that I aided and abetted in their gambling addiction and didn't know I was doing that. So I have remorse for many things. I have remorse for what I put my family through. The guilt of that kills me.
Yeah.
That really
I mean,
bothers
that's
me.
what's keeping you up at 3:30.
Oh, easily, for sure. Yeah, because
But having $2 million on a baseball game didn't.
No, not at all. I sleep like a baby. In fact, I slept better when I lost. Because when you run out of money in a casino, then you kind of like decompress. You're like, all right, the war's over, I lost. And so then I'd watch movies, you relax, you decompress. And I know that sounds wild, but go home, reset, come back in 2 weeks, you're a degenerate, you'll be back, and fight again. And it's no different now.